We back. Daude, Sherrills, how's everything, brother?
Oh man, you know how it is. Just out here, when you chasing your legacy, when you are laying the foundation for a legacy, every day is like a movie, And so, I live my life, trying to accomplish as much as I can, both in this world and if you have children, you always think about their future, which is your world and their world, And so every day is a day where, I'm trying to create build foundation businesses that ties in, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and to a platform, you know what I'm saying, for that legacy for my kids and just community and being black as a whole.
Yes, sir. Um, we was having we had a we did two interviews with Malik Spellman.
Dr. Spellman, that's
Dr.
my
Spellman.
guy. That's my guy,
Yeah,
man.
he mentions you a lot. How did
Oh
y'all
man,
meet?
oh man, it was in 1992,
Okay.
and the location was at Jim Brown's house up in Hollywood Hills.
Okay.
And so myself and Tony Bogard, because I had just introduced Jim to Tony Bogard,
Okay.
so Tony Bogard became the focal person at the time of the Gang Truce from the Imperial Courts, because the war between, like I say, our two neighborhoods who was a part of the peace treaty was also the Imperial Courts, which Tony Bogard was this figure. And prior to Dwayne Holmes going to prison, because first it was me and Dwayne Holmes, me and Dwayne Holmes locked in because we was the first people that had the discussion, and then it went out and when it happened, as far as in the cease, what I'm saying, Dwayne Holmes ended up getting incarcerated 7 days after, what I'm saying, the ceasefire, the ceasefire between the Warren factions and Watts, which is different neighborhoods. And so me and Tony Bogard was leaving Jim house, and Malik was coming down the driveway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so as he's coming, we met Malik. Malik. When I heard him, he met. We shook hands and we told him who he was and who he was. We asked him who he was. He told us who he was, and Malik had this New York type of swag, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it was like a 5% Islam. That's the next the form of Islam that they practice a lot on the East Coast, but out here on the West Coast too. So Malik was hammering it. You know what I'm saying? He was
Yeah.
man. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, damn man, with this truth movement, with us trying to do this organization and all this stuff and marketing what we was doing, and helping us all in this work, Malik could be a perfect person for that because he has how to articulate, and at the same time relate, you know what I'm saying, with the culture. And so when you have a person like that, and all of us found this thing about, how do we sustain the peace treaty? How do we increase the peace? And so we all had this mentality on developing all these different concepts and ideas, and Malik, played the perfect role for that.
Okay. And now he says he said he came with the truce. he said he gathered everybody up. Tell Dawood that.
That was the thing. That was the thing. So me and him, people didn't know that me and Malik had this relationship since 1992 with Tony Bogard, and we formed Hands Across Watts, and we did the Peace Treaty talk show in collaboration with Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder during the riots and when everything was boiling over and it was all the chaotic, Stevie Wonder allowed us to use the KGLH, which at that time was on Crenshaw, on strip of Crenshaw, and there was a big window. So he used to he gave us the show. I mean, with no other people there other than us, and we just talked about peace, bringing brothers together, and it was called the Peace Treaty Show. And so me, Malik, Tony, Ty Stick, all of us was in there. They just gave us the airway.
That's
and after that, I mean, people used to be lined up outside coming to the radio station, because we was on the air, and it was so profound. And like I say, a part of that, when you talk about, people would ask the question, how did the treaty and the truce expand so fast? That airwave, KGLH at the time was a popular, radio station,
Yeah.
K-Day, KGLH, and man, they had that broadband. We didn't understand it at that time. and we didn't know what we was doing. But when you reflect back on what we was doing, you know, that was a part of the whole thing of calling the peace. And you had the peacemakers, you had those who represented neighborhoods, and this is where all the activities was going on, as far as in the ceasefires and the parties and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it was just bouncing around, bouncing around,
Did the KJLH thing happen after the truce, or this helped lead to the truce?
No, it happened. It became a vehicle to expand the truce because it happened after the truce.
Okay.
And that was just during the riots, because the riots, everything was was going, everything was going up.
And that's what I wanted to get to is, and I want you to explain to the people, it was a truce, then it was supposed to be the treaty. It was a truce, ceasefire, and treaty. The treaty got postponed because of the LA riots.
Yes.
So explain that the truce happened, the treaty was on its way to happen, but then the LA riots happened within a few days of the actual truce.
Yes.
That's why Watts wasn't rioting.
Simultaneously.
Yeah.
It was like a beautiful alignment. Spiritually speaking, everybody heard of the phoenix. They talk about the phoenix.
Yeah.
The bird coming out of the ashes.
Yeah.
And so simultaneously, and this is, I think, during the month of Ramadan too.
Wow.
And it happened at a masjid, and you got a red and a blue. So spiritually, and we're using a concept of a world-renowned peacemaker with the treaties.
Yeah.
That came and tied to, and it was like simultaneously.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah.
And so the word truce, like I tell people, this is a military definition. And when we went and researched in the library, based upon me watching this, thing on History Channel between the war between, I think, America and Japan. I think they was doing a cease and a treaty agreement on the ship. And reflected upon that, and then me thinking about how we gonna bring peace. Because you can say peace. You can say these things, but how do you actually implement this? If you don't have a strategy, if you're not aware, if you're not studying that field, how could you do it?
Yeah.
And so as a person that's trying to bring this into existence, and I got to look at language, because I'm thinking about not just the culture, I'm thinking about the impact of people seeing gangs come together. And we caught a little bit of that because it was simultaneously with the riots. And so what they thought we was coming together because a lot of guns were stolen. They trying to set us up in a situation where it's because we already gang violence, we already got drugs, now the riots, and then bam, the whole criminalization of black youth as a whole, I was trying to prevent. So I had to use language that we can, like we doing now, educate people on, but the people who educate it and who understands from the outside know what we're talking about. So it's like, how do we communicate? You know what I'm saying? Doing something good with this language, and also when people look at it, they understand what it is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We didn't understand what it is. I knew the definition of the word truce, meaning to bring opposing forces together.
Yeah.
It's not a ceasefire, it's not a peace treaty. It's just bringing us together for a dialogue. So when I say the word truce, I'm talking about at Jim Brown House. We didn't have peace because our neighborhoods was at war.
Yeah.
But we was trucing up there because we was all a part of warring factions, and we was trucing. And we was talking about ways to de-escalate that all the time, using the program, teaching us life management skills, because, it's like playing sports. If we a team, we all got to have the same manual, same playbook. It's intelligence.
Yeah.
And so creating common language is what we did with the American curriculum. We created common language. You know what I'm saying? So that the members who went through the program, we know how to communicate with each other. We know what communication is. We know what we're trying to do. We talk about goals. We can talk about things. Now we have an understanding. And in the neighborhoods, that was never, because we can never have the same common dialogue, because you blood, you crib. Cuz told cuz, get that cuz, fuck blood, fuck crabs. And we had developed a whole culture in all these different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So that means that we can't communicate because we have different cultures, and because of the violence, that's something that's impossible. If you didn't have the right language, the right people, you couldn't do it. So the truce was just a definition of bringing the opposing forces together. In 1992, in the masjid of Al Rasul, in the early Aprils, we had a truce amongst the warring factions. And it wasn't the leaders, because we wasn't leaders, because each of our neighborhoods, you know, the Jordan Downs had over 8,000 people living in that area. We had a gang, Grape Street, that was, you know, broken up in cliques, but we was one, but we didn't have no real, you know, constitution that we abide by, you know what I'm saying? Shit, each man's for himself, but, you know, when we defended ourselves, shit, we Grape Streets. You know what I'm saying? But it's each man's for himself over there, and it's like a rat race because you living in poverty. Shit, man, I seen families go against families. Was that gang violence? No, it was based upon whatever was going on. And each neighborhood is dynamically structured like that as black folks, and we all know that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was just bringing these individuals to have a conversation about, you know, bringing a ceasefire that leads to something like a peace treaty. You know what I'm saying? And so we had conversations and discussions and all these things in these meetings, and the thing that, which I think made us agree to a ceasefire, you know what I'm saying, because it have to be a cause. Our cause in Watts was that all of us agreed upon that we didn't want our kids to experience what we experienced because it was going up. You know what I'm saying? Our kids was, you know, any minute now, you know, you can have kids living over here, and any minute now. That's how it is. Any minute now. Drive-by shooting was the rule of the day. Drive-bys. Every news. Drive-by shooting, drive-by shooting, drive-by shooting, drive-by shooting, then you got a face. And if you got an enemy and you're not talking to them, you can get a drive-by. First thing you thinking about, it was them. Then you go over there and do something stupid, kill some innocent people, and not knowing that probably wasn't even them. Because from a war standpoint of view, if you did something, you doing what? You waiting for a person to retaliate. You know what I'm saying? On all sides of war. So you setting up a defense. If you know you done something, when you know a person is just out there, no defense, you know, that may be the one the person didn't do it. But in our days, you know, being drunk, being high, being disconnected, being fed this mentality for survival made it much more difficult to have those type of communications after the lines was drawn. You know what I'm saying? And so we had a dialogue, and it was the truce. And the truce led to the ceasefire. You know what I'm saying?
Now, how long did the ceasefire take to get from the truce to the ceasefire?
It took about 2 to 3 weeks of conversations and dialogues and activity.
To get the ceasefire?
Yeah, because it started off with just representatives talking about the concept and the idea. Then it went to go spread the word to all your different factions and get a consensus. You know what I'm saying? Then the next week, bring back more people. So that was our strategy, you know what I'm saying, to get people to dialogue, because all of our neighborhoods, like I said, you had different cliques. You can't just talk, no neighborhood got one person. I'm the bigger, you know, but it has different factions in your neighborhood that makes up the neighborhood. And so you had to go and talk to different influencers and stuff like that to get them to agree or just to have the concept. And so that's what we did, you know what I'm saying? And
so now the treaty, how long did that take, and how did y'all decide who signed it, and like what was the requirement to who signs?
The requirement was based upon a representative from those neighborhoods.
Okay.
And like I said, it's so much of witnesses in a sense.
Okay.
You know, and like I said, since our neighborhood is not so one person speaks for all, we're not monolithic. You just have to have an influenceable person who participated and who's on the front line, who actually signed the treaties. Then we had religious representation. We had the Masjid Mujahid, who where the treaties was organized and who was a key figure in helping spread and bring a lot of the stuff we're talking about into fruition, along with myself and all the other people. And so we had to put these representatives on this document. But the treaties was a moving document, and it took 2 years for us to draft it and sign it.
Wow.
And even though we would had in a day without the riots, the goal was to do the same thing, do the peace treaty, do the ceasefire, and develop a treaties without even doing activities. The riots allowed us to do activities because the riots happened. Everybody was everywhere, y'all. But it's actually supposed to have went to the ways of we developing the activities. You know what I'm saying?
Where is the original signed document?
I have it.
You have the original.
Yes, I have the original signed document.
Wow.
And so,
and it was only one, or was there like
no,
four
it was
different?
one document, and I drafted it because I was the subscriber. Not only as I was a participant and organizer, I'm transcribing what they're talking about.
Do you have a picture of all the pages of it signed?
I got the whole thing.
Is there a way you can
Yeah.
give it so we can?
Yeah,
I want to. I want to show our viewers a copy of it.
Yes, I have that. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
and like I said, we did it in the Imperial Courts, 1994, and it's signed on that date. You know what I'm saying? And it just said we opened up our territories, we returned businesses back to our community. You know what I'm saying? We had certain things on what we do and to not to do to grow us into conflict. Because when you are having conversations and dialogue in a room with a bunch of men and we talking about what led us to war.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of times the root cause was women.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It could be a gang thing, but when you go find the root cause, it goes, these two guys are screwing the same woman.
Wow.
But it was a blood and crip situation.
Yeah.
And it led to what it was. So all incident didn't start off, no, it was more human. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
It's just that nobody didn't intervene. And it got out of hand.
Yeah.
The churches, the mosques, the civil rights leaders, the politicians, the police, nobody intervened.
Nobody.
Pretty much they made an industry off of it.
100%.
Prisons industry, multi-billion dollars. Law enforcement, multi-billion. Hospitals, multi-billions.
Mm-hmm.
Probation, multi-billions. This is taxpayers' money. They made an industry off of it, so now I don't want to see it in. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Now I'm putting money, product placement money in the movies. We got CSI, we got all these crime TVs, police TV, predicated off poverty and people who don't know how to solve misunderstandings.
Now, what do you have to say about gangsters? And you hear it sometimes. Man, there wasn't no gang truce. That shit wasn't real. Man, we was still doing this. Because I don't think even gangsters really understand. The gang truce didn't stop gang banging.
No.
It put rules around it to protect the black community.
That's it. We de-escalated why people was getting their heads blew off.
Yeah.
Back in our days and growing up in gangs, you was getting murdered and killed just because you lived in the neighborhood. You didn't have to be gang affiliated.
Yeah.
And or just because you had on a certain color.
Yeah.
See, the people who wasn't there, they all have an opinion. But you're a beneficiary of what we did. But there's intelligence to what we did.
Yeah.
And there was purpose. And there was intention. See, that's the whole thing. This is nothing just made up. You know, gangs can't get together. It wasn't about gangs. We came together to save the young people.
Yeah.
And it was from a religious standpoint of view. It was in the masjid. I was a Muslim. Most of the people that was active that we called upon was either the transitional, halfway in and halfway out, but needed something great to pull them all the way out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So we pulled a lot of people out that condition, behavioral condition that we went through in the crack era of being gangsters, robbers, pimp, players, killers. We was conditioned in behavior through television and everything that around us in poverty to behave like this. So we created a subculture inside of a major society with a constitution.
Wow.
Inside a city that has a city charter where the residents own the charter. But we out here in this little world that was created for the purpose of incentivizing big Fortune 500 corporations and companies. And we had to deal with that, and we dealt with it. We didn't, you know what I'm saying? And it was like I say, is most people who wasn't there, they're gonna say whatever they wanna say. You weren't there. You can have an opinion, but know the story though. Mm-hmm. You know, how are you gonna have an opinion? You don't even know the damn story. I would never inject myself in somebody's life and story if I wasn't there. All I can tell you is what I know, what I can hear. That's just my own personal opinion. Has nothing to do with injecting myself in a story that you wasn't there in. So you got a lot of people out here who injected themselves into the story and then said that I did this. So you have a lot of stories. Tookie did it. Oh, he did it. Oh, he did it. Oh, he did the truce. Oh, he did this. And you ask them, what is the truce? Who created the word? So stop it.
You got the contract.
I got the receipts.
You got the agreement.
And I got the activity to prove what I said I did.
Yeah.
You know? And I was a former active gang member, drug dealer.
Yeah. Well, I can say.
And I don't run on that reputation because that wasn't my reputation. My mama and my daddy raised us as Muslims.
Yeah, yeah. And from what I hear, you wasn't just no ordinary drug dealer. I heard it was pretty massive.
Look, my thing is this: if you do something, you do it big. And
Yeah.
I'm glad God intervened, you know what I'm saying, in my life. Because I was just totally going into that direction. Like I tell the story about how my son, the birth of my son, changed my trajectory. This is real redemption.
Yeah.
Because I was on a trajectory to hell.
Yeah.
And not only a trajectory to hell, I was willing to go. So when you understand that you have a person that's willing to go, like the brothers that's out here in these streets, they willing to go to hell for something that don't give them no benefit.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Only a temporary satisfaction. Maybe a girl like you, maybe you could be able to punk somebody for some change. Or maybe you can buy a car off the hustle, the whole podcast industry, niggas hustling, selling their souls just to get a chain, some shoes, and a money bag phone and shit, all that trash shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So some people out here is really selling their soul to go to hell. I come out of that environment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, man, when you get an opportunity to God intervene and change your direction, and you spend 30 years instead of going that way, you're going this way. If that intervention didn't happen in my life, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know who I am and what I evolved to become. You know, shit, man. Frank Lucas would have been little. And so when we engage in certain, directions to do certain things, we can either do something good that benefit our soul and our spirit and make sure our kids ain't getting caught up, or we could do something totally bitter and become like a goddamn Hitler, want to kill everybody for greed. So that industry fuels that environment fuels that energy. And if you're an intelligent person in that space, you're fucking dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, when you was coming up, you came in the crack era.
Crack era, yes.
Right? And I've had conversations, and I heard the crack era changed everything in the LA streets. Like, it just changed everything, right? So I heard a lot of dance crews, car clubs, and just crews literally all got absorbed during the crack era and became gangs.
Yeah.
So I heard there was pop locking, dance gang crews that they wasn't gang bangers. They was just brothers that danced.
Yes.
But then they got into the hustle, and it was like you had to pick a side because it was just too crazy.
Well, L.A., man, in the 80s was so wicked.
Yeah.
So wicked. So wicked. Growing up in Watts, you got people telling you that you're not going to make it out of this community. By the age of 18, you're supposed to be dead, or you're supposed to be in prison, or you got shot.
Yeah.
And this was a real damn reality. It was going on around you like that.
Wow.
And crack became the money, because you gotta understand, at that time, the poverty rate in Watts was at an all-time high. After the war, all the factories dwindled and closed, so left unemployment amongst hundreds of thousands of people living strictly in poverty with no hope.
Yeah.
We went trying to get jobs, and only job we could get is summer jobs, and sometimes everybody couldn't get summer jobs because there wasn't enough money. So your parent was poor, was on FDC, only got money on the 1st and 15th, and only gave you so much. And you got kids, we eat. By the time the first came, the food was gone by the 6th. You got to wait till the 15th. By the time the 15th came, the food was gone by the by the 18th, and now you got to go to. And so it created an environment, and when crack came, it was the perfect solution at that time. We thinking,
Yeah.
and we all participated.
Wow.
And so, yeah, crack changed the whole trajectory of from civil rights to black power to movie coming in, socially engineered. You niggas run to the penitentiary. And we ran to the penitentiary chasing crack. Not knowing that crack is a part of civil rights. Not in a positive way, but in an ethical way. Because there's clauses in the civil rights legislation about fair housing, about people who get convicted selling drugs. It's a violation of a health and safety code. And it allows you to get kicked out of what? Public housing.
Wow.
And they bar you. Not just that, a felony that's gonna bar you. So the fastest way you get niggas felonies and get barred from a situation that you ain't finna fix because you didn't have enough housing. You know, we was dealing with Jim Crow out here.
Yeah.
Even though California was a free state, we was dealing with Jim Crow. The same people who left Jim Crow South and Jim Crow wherever came here and Jim Crowed us here. Which put all these draconian laws and all these things in position that barred us our 14th Amendment, which is liberty and happiness and the pursuit.
Yeah.
So when they dumped the crack here, it went up. Killing went up. Just like it did everywhere else. When you went drop the drugs and the guns in any other municipality in this state of the union, it went up the same way LA went up, Miami, Washington, it did the same thing. And so in LA, it went up. Homicides went up, high school dropout rates went up, teen pregnancy went up. Everything that they were saying was negative went up. And it became a benefit to all the institutions who used that one little thumb tap to create multi-billion-dollar industries and bureaucracy that oversees American people who just trying to just have the basic necessity, food, clothing, shelter.
So now, when you first heard about the crack, like how was it like introduced to you? Was it introduced as cocaine and then y'all learned how to make the crack, or was it already packaged as crack and then y'all had to reverse engineer it to figure out how to make it?
Both. We cooked the shit. We never sold the powder because we didn't see no signs. People wasn't in our era sniffing cocaine like that. They probably was on certain levels and shit.
Yeah.
But crack was the commodity. You know what I'm saying? You didn't know how to, break down some powder. You know what I'm saying? You know how to break down powder like you break down the crack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So crack was easy and ready made for the average seller and for the users. You know what I'm saying? So.
So it was already cracked up.
Yeah, we brought the crack. We brought it powder, but we rocked it up ourselves.
Okay.
You could buy powder. You could buy, 4.5 powder, and bam, you baking soda. You know what I'm saying? Because the only thing we was doing is using baking soda.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Baking soda allowed your stuff to re-rock. Depends on the quality of it. Okay. If you had good quality cocaine, you know what I'm saying? Crack allowed it to expand. But what it did, it took the impurities out of it. Because you're boiling it. Okay. So it was just a pure, adrenaline thing. You know what I'm saying? But it was, it was the commodity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was the commodity. You know what I'm saying? And so that.
How long did it take? Sorry to cut you off. How long did it take to start seeing like crackheads like in the community, like all through the streets, like?
Oh, it was fast. It was like shit. It was fast, and I say that because you see some of the top of the people at the top of their class. You went to school with these people, and the finest girl in the class, man. I just remember I said, damn, baby, she was on crack.
Wow.
Oh man, you know what I'm saying? So in that era, it was like, man, you got access because if you had crack, you was a man.
Yeah. You
seen people's parents, you seen your friends. Some of your best friends, and we all didn't smoke, we didn't drink, but when you see one of your friends get addicted to it, 1 out of every 10, you have 2, your friends getting hit to it, then they get excommunicated, because once you start being on crack, you got excommunicated out of the certain hip groups.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Crack
so
addict.
yeah, you know, like today, all these young kids are on RX drugs and all these generic drugs.
Yeah.
They on the whole young generation. They doing something with a RX. You know what I'm saying? And back in our days, you know, no, we were still, you know, coming out of civil rights. Our parents are still, some of our parents are still in the religion. Some of our parents was in hustlers, but you still had certain standards. And so a lot of that stuff was instilled into our generation. So we frowned down on our generation who got involved with that. But today, it's like everybody doing it. And the people who ain't doing it, they getting frowned down on today. You know what I'm saying? As being squares and weirdos. Because you on drugs and I'm not. So I'm the weirdo
Yeah.
and you the superhero. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, it has changed. But like I say, crack was just the commodity at the time of poverty and crime and unemployment, you know, was way people was, you know, feeding their families and take care of themselves and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Then it had no infrastructure because it was a you know, wherever you go find your spot at, you know, you had conflicts with people and y'all competing for blocks and shit like that or parks and shit, you know what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of the conflicts was arising from. You know, but like I said, when you look at the root cause of it, I think that if we had a job source center in these parks and schools and you was really giving people what they wanted, which is unemployment to be, we would have had a different trajectory. So crack definitely changed the our trajectory from civil rights and human rights and empowerment and civil rights and to becoming criminals to everybody else institutions who was organized to capitalize off that. We wasn't organized to capitalize off of it.
Now, and that's really true. Now, is there any crews that you knew that you remember that were like car crews and dance crews that end up becoming Crip or Blood gangs?
Um, I don't know, like say for instance, as crews, as far as individuals who was a part of these crews,
Yeah.
because the culture is the culture. You know,
Okay.
Gray Street and Baby Those and Crips, and these are cultures that you know we adopted. You know what I'm saying? As a young generation, and we lost blood and people died, and so this shit is ingrained in your heart. And so these I'm not aware of any at that time in my 80s and stuff like that, you know, seeing people flip like that. But I seen people who was part of these crews flip to Crip and Gray Street and all these other places that had the influence over these neighborhoods. I seen individuals, you know, hey, I seen squares and football players, basketball players. You know, look at Keith Kloss. He was in the NBA, but he's a Hoover. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
we've seen a lot of people get sucked in
Yeah.
into the culture, which, you know, I mean, you know, if the culture was incorporated as a nonprofit or a for-profit, and we had a branding power, you know, man, it's a good culture. It's nothing. The only thing that's bad about it, and we just on this podcast, they was talking about dropping the flags. It's a movement that's out of New York. They telling people to drop their flags. I said no. I said 1992, we raised our flags. We tied them together,
Yeah.
but we dropped that bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, drop the bullshit. Raise the flag. You know what I'm saying? Because these flags represent, these colors represent real sentimental value to certain people.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not an active gang member, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not participating in a certain lifestyle, which they would consider you're a gang member if you're doing crime. All gang members don't do crime. Because you got some gangsters out here that's killers, that's pushing drugs. The pharmaceutical industry is the same thing. Only thing you did is bottle it and capsule it, and you got a license compared to me, who I don't got a license. And so, you know, I go to jail for 40 years while you giving the pharmaceutical companies who's using the same product and they just put it in a pill and they tell you how to use it. You're giving them more than them billion-dollar contracts, but they still hooking people. You know what I'm saying? And if I did a comparisons, as it relates to crack and a pharmaceutical drug, they both have the basis of opium.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck what you got it chopped up in. You can do this, you can put a mark on the pill, you can do this. This is pure. This got poison in it. The body needs both of them. That's why you use it, because our body is electrical. And opium is a natural plant that has its photosynthesis to produce what you can ingest. So once we understand the drug, then we know how to deal with the drug. And that's how the pharmaceutical is. They know understand stuff. So instead of giving you take one at a time, every 2 hours, every 4 hours. The dealer don't. So you can get in trouble because you can make somebody overdose.
Yeah.
But it's the same industry. But why wouldn't he get caught doing what you're doing just because he ain't got a license? You're going to give him 40 years.
Yeah.
But they over here making 40 billion.
40 billion a year.
Off the same shit.
Yeah.
So it's like all the brothers who are locked up and didn't commit violent crime just made money to feed their family. You know, my thing is release them. It's fruits of a poison tree. Mm-hmm. You know, and the sources of these fields is not in America. Mm-hmm. How did it make it to America? We ain't gonna say who did, and we ain't gonna chase it. The thing is that you introduce a certain product into our society. We ain't gonna chase it, but do justice. Stop giving people 50 and 60 and 80 years when you all caught up in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's, to me, like I said, it did some good, but because of the conflicts and them injecting guns and injecting social engineer behavior into a lot of us who didn't have the Martins, the Malcolms, and the Black Panthers and the Us Panthers and all this stuff. We didn't have none of that.
Yeah.
You know, we was raised up with Scarface 1, Scarface 2, New Jack City. We was raised up with shit that, hey man, the pimp was the man. He had a lot of women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you telling a young kid who have a young man that has a sexual nature growing up and looking at female, the pimp ain't the man. Everybody, the pimp was the role model in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no preacher. The preacher didn't have no women. You know what I'm saying? You know, preachers always niggas screaming and running.
So now, there's a lot of craziness going on. What's your views on the Charlie Kirk murder? You know, it seems like Candace Owens is thinking it's some BS. FBI's involved. It seems like a conspiracy.
Spin doctors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I look at Candace Owens and look at it as a, crew of these podcasters that get paid big money. Mm-hmm. So before we start looking at these people who get big money, see, my thing is that what they saying is not what they saying. So if you're getting big money and you got big money behind you, all your research is coming from big money. It's not coming from Candace Owens. Candace Owens is like an actor.
Okay.
Who know how to articulate what big money tell her to do. And so you're going to have a lot of spin doctors out here spinning narratives. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But the death of Charlie Kirk was impactful. And I don't think people really understand the impact that did. If we look at impactful deaths and assassinations in world history, we could talk about World War I. The assassin who assassinated the Archduke, he was from one of those countries in Europe when he was in...
you say Ferdinand?
Ferdinand, Archduke Ferdinand.
Yeah.
And the guy who assassinated him that led to World War I.
Yeah. Was that Stalin?
I don't know if it's Stalin, but the guy who murdered him wasn't Stalin. He was an assassin.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That was paid, I don't know by who, but the story and the narrative is, the comparisons I'm dealing with is with Charlie Kirk because of the impact.
Yeah.
This person had a major impact that led to World War I, that over 400 million people lost their lives of one incident.
Yeah. So
here he is with Charlie Kirk and being assassinated. Charlie Kirk is revered as this spiritual young man on a journey, on a God journey. Charlie Kirk is a Gentile.
Yeah.
You see that? He's a Gentile. He supports the state of Israel.
But he was questioning, it seems like he was questioning Israel in this last. That's why a lot of people are trying to connect that Israel might have had something against him.
Yeah, well, there's another conspiracy.
Yeah.
But all in all, he's a Gentile.
Yeah.
And he had a following of like-minded, young and old and powerful people. So what's the scenario around this? What's the impact about this? It's like they cut the lights on. You know what I'm saying? And it's all behind, religion. This is a spiritual type thing. other than more politics. Politics dictated it, but it's a spiritual connection to all this.
Yeah.
And so the death of Charlie Kirk was devastating. But on the spiritual side, and when you're looking at it, you're looking at the connections now. You had the Israels honor his memorial. You know, you have the Abraham Accord. You have the Jew and the Gentile, the fulfillment of a scripture about the Jew and the Gentile being accepted by the Jew and the blessing of God, and they all singing about God.
Yeah. And they giving the wife some flack too. They starting people.
Well, that's the
played.
enemies of, that's the evil versus the good. See, it's an evil force in our society that's financing a lot of the podcasts. The evil force.
Yeah.
It's evil. They really say we evil. Anybody can mock the death of somebody and laugh at it. You have to look at their heart.
Yeah.
And then when you find out if they've been paid, then you got to look at their money. It's an evil force around here, and it's rooted in corruption and evilness.
What do you feel about Jimmy Kimmel and him getting
Jimmy
canned
Kimmel,
but then come back?
Yeah, it was a publicity stunt. You know, Jimmy Kimmel ratings was already plummeting. You paying Jimmy Kimmel $16 million. They knew that if you mentioned Charlie Kirk, it could do two things. That movement that's formalizing right now could kill ABC and Disney by boycotting that. They caught it in a pickle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then the union going against ABC and them, and so they caught it in a pickle.
Yeah.
You know, these are all the parent company. All these companies are subsidiaries other than one company. You know what I'm saying? So it's all the same people, likely, really.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It really is.
But you don't control the movement of people that right now is right now it's Christian. Christians saying what they doing is wrong. They promoting all different type of things. They going after people who they saying is Christians, conservatives, and so this movement is energized now.
Yeah.
You see it all through other college campuses. Will it have a political impact? Let's see. Let's see if these young people go to the vote and knock some of these people out of the political position. I think they will. And so you have two movements now. You have the evil who's saying they losing ways. You know what I'm saying? Because they all going to God. I got to get these people to stay with the porn. I got to get these people to stay with the killing, the drugs. It's got one industry that's pushing that's very powerful.
Yeah.
And so as you see these people fight, you know what I'm saying? It has world implications to this.
Yeah.
You know, and most people who might not understand, because I'm a study of wars and conflicts and the chain of custody. I study the Punic War too, how Rome and Africa, how Romans defeated the African Carthaginians and the Carthaginians, was named it Africa, Scipio Africanos. I studied the British Empire overthrowing the Ottoman Empire, on how Britain got the empire, all the properties and the titles. And see, I watch things and I study wars. That's why I was always using this terminology and information in my work. And I'm a peacemaker.
Yeah.
You know, I pray to God to exalt me as a peacemaker.
Yeah.
And a great unifier.
Yeah.
Two things, unification and peace. I did peace.
Yeah.
We're focused on the unification. And it's tied into a lot of these spiritual things that we see.
Yeah.
But you only can see if you're operating from a spiritual. If you're operating from political and a material, money, and in my dick, or my stomach, or my wealth, or my cars, nigga, you caught up in some bullshit. You're gonna be collateral damage one day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So all that was just a publicity stunt that's gonna backfire on them, because prophecy says that God in these days will take the wisdom of the righteous and turn it into what? Foolishness.
Wow.
And as you look at it, look how dumb these people are. They billionaires and millionaires, and then, you know what they fighting over? Water. You know what they fighting over? Electricity grids. You know what they fighting over? Oil. You know what they fighting over? Clothing. You know what they fighting over? Fruit. Ain't that foolish? When God is growing this in the abundance, and you got greedy motherfuckers who saying it belongs to them, and you looking at them and knowing that if I trace your historical ancestral traces, nigga, your race was only created 10,000 years ago. It was someone there 40 years before you got there. How the hell you get there now? Well, let's open that Pandora box.
Yeah.
You know, people got to take the shields off their eyes because they dead. They're in the state of Lazarus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The people is like Lazarus in the Bible. They blind, deaf, and dumb. And they don't see the darkness. But they've been tempted every day through ads and advertising and using this lens. And this thing is focused on two things on the human being: your sexual desires and your hunger. If I control those two uncontrollable forces that you have no control over, I control whatever you think. Wow. And so marketing people is brilliant. Everybody's not a marketing person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when you look at all the affiliations that's marketing to us, they selling us ads and advertising, propaganda, false information, and disinformation. How do you discern between all that when it's coming at you every day? It's coming at your kids, it's coming at you.
Spirit, you gotta be connected.
You gotta be connected spiritually.
Yeah. If
you're not really a spiritual person, you can't see the stuff I see. You see something totally different. Hey, what that nigga talking about? Yeah. It ain't that what I'm talking about is not real, it's what you don't know. So it's ignorance to a person that really put 30 years into understanding wars and conflicts and the chain of custody. Yeah. That's all you gotta do. Understand the conflict, what they was fighting for, and who was they? Who was on this side and who was on this side? It's always been a red and blue side. Like the story in the Bible talk about the story of Gog and Magog. Which is the red and the blue. In this country we got blue blood and you got red blood. Who is that in our eyes today? The Germans, Nazis, blue British Empire. These are the power structures in our society that made one part of the Constitution, the other one made the other. The Constitution was made in two parts. One, Greek democracy, and the other one is Roman Republic. So when you study these two histories, you're gonna understand who these people is walking around you every day.
Can you say it again?
Greek democracy. You hear them always talking about democracy.
Yeah.
It's Greek democracy. And then there's Roman Republic.
Roman Republic.
That's how the Constitution is wrote.
So, because America is technically supposed to be a republic.
It is a republic.
But a Roman Republic is part of what we became.
Well, you'd be a Roman Republic because the history of the Romans and your Magna Carta rights. Okay. And your will between you and God, instead of you having to bow to kiss somebody's ring.
Yeah.
Monarchy, republic, means that there's a class. I'm the middle class, the rich class. Yeah. But you're all Americans. Yeah. Where your resources come from. Okay, you're a rich person, I respect you. How you made your money? Let's put a track and tracer on that shit, forensic that damn thing real quick. Go all the way back to your grandfather, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got your money killing people. You got your money enslaving people. What you should do is donate all your money and get over there. If you was a righteous person.
Yeah.
You holding on to that makes you a wicked person. And it's gonna show out in you. I don't give a damn how beautiful, how nice, what kind of car you drive. One thing you can't run from is your good and bad intentions and actions.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can be the richest person. Why he commit suicide? Then you go open up his book.
Yeah.
His book says he was a wicked person. He couldn't live it, couldn't stand it. Even though he had everything, he was miserable. You know, you think the leader of Korea is miserable? Gotta be. He got all this shit, but can't leave North Korea. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man, that's misery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you just so scared. If a person sneezes wrong, you scared. Man, I would never want to be in no damn position like that.
Never.
He's powerful though. No power in the world can make me a prisoner to myself.
Can't just get up and just go to the stove if he want to.
Can't.
Starving
his people, then he's starving his people. You know what I'm saying? You know, you so upset and angry and you making all these bombs and missiles to kill everybody in the world. Look at that mindset. If you can't get your way, you will kill everybody in the world, innocent all people. And when we talk about America is wicked, do you think that's wicked? You know what I'm saying? Do you think it's wicked when a person could tell you you don't have a free will? You know what I'm saying? That's the most important thing, your free will, right? You should have a choice to choose whatever you want to do, as long as it has morals and values. But you still got a right. So if you choose something that's immorally, and you find that whatever is attracted to that is attacking you, you chose that. You know what was coming with. Just because you chose it, I don't mean there's no consequences and things like that. So, it's like, where we at with our moral compass in life as human beings. That's where it all boils back down to. And so it's a lot of things that's taking place. And you got to look at it from a human standpoint of view and who these human beings are, because you don't want to be caught in the middle. So as a unifier, and I got children, I have to engage in certain ways. That's why I say about legacy and building and not being so much into stuck in these political organizations or these special interest groups and things like that. I operate in all of them, because the thing is that you have to get to the people to show them something that you're going in the wrong direction, because probably someone never told you that, because they can't get to where you at. You got $1 billion, man, you can't get to that person. Only ones getting to them are either the dogs, the birds, or a lawyer, and these people is do whatever he says. Someone need to get to the person that has and say, look, what you're doing is wrong. You're going to destroy the whole world. To see if he really understand that. So, that's just where it's at. So we have a lot of things that's happening, and like I say, I'm looking at the whole transition of the house of worship of religion. We see the fight that's taking place about the state of Israel and the state of Palestine. And it's interesting. It's funny to me, because as I view it from a spiritual standpoint of view, I'm looking at removing the house of worship. And most people don't understand the power and who England is as a country and what they represent as a country. And
What's that?
England.
What do they
Britain.
represent?
Oh, they're a monarchy. You know what I'm saying? They're an empire. You know what I'm saying? The British and the monarchy empire. So basically what that means is that an empire is a person who controls land. Mm-hmm. So the British Empire extends all the way over here in America. We fought British in 1776. It was a part of the empire. We defeated them. And you got to understand, they are a United Kingdom, so they are a European nation. So they got Spain, France, and everything. That's all they related. That's all their bloodline.
That's a United Kingdom.
That's what it is. And it's bloodline. So that means that you have a country that's been in power over the land we live on for thousands of years. For 1,000 years. Over 1,000 years. And right now it's being weighed. You hear this thing, they say the transition of wealth. Everybody hear that. Oh, the transition of wealth. You gotta ask yourself, what the hell is that? I'm tired of hearing it. What does that mean? So these people in England oversees the house of religion. So the Queen controls what? The Vatican. She controls the Pope.
Yep.
But what Trump them is doing right now, they want to move the house of religion from Rome to Jerusalem.
Which is
The Abraham Accord.
Abraham Accord. So that's pretty. I don't know if it's Quran, but it's definitely biblical, right?
Oh, it's biblical, big.
Because that's
You talking about the father of the Gentiles is Abraham.
Yeah.
You talking about the Israels in the war of the chosen ones, and you talking about this is a biblical thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So you over here, you have this, Trump just left, and all of a sudden, Trump support a state of Israel. He already built the dome in Jerusalem.
Which is
he already did the Abraham Accord.
Which is,
and now this is a Gentile nation partnering up with Israel. This is prophecy.
This is prophecy.
This is the coming of Christ for them on their spiritual journey.
And the Antichrist.
The Antichrist is those who's fighting against it. That's the false religion people. That's Rome, the Vatican.
Yeah.
The pedophilia that's tied to Epstein.
Yeah.
All the perverted shit. The Queen, all these 44,000 different religions, she gave everybody nationalism and religion all over the world after she overthrew the Ottoman Empire. When Russia unleashed its ancient vault He showed you that all the black people was black. The Jesus, the Moses, and all these people, they took it from the Ottoman Empire. World War I was the final dagger to the Ottoman Empire. Hitler come out of Australia. They fought in World War I against the Ottomans. That was all black people. That was the Islamic State. The Arabs participated, the Russians, the Zionists. That's how the Belfort Agreement, how the Jews. See, people that's not following nothing. They don't follow wars and world histories and things like that. So it makes them getting caught up in the political propaganda of disinformation and misinformation. But it's a spiritual movement that's taking place in this country. And it's about the fulfillment of really prophecy, other than politics. The evil world is saying, we want 1,000 years of extra rule.
Wow.
With false religion.
So do you believe it's a genocide going on because they're trying to fulfill the prophecy up in Palestine?
I don't know what the prophecy is in Palestine, because the Palestinians didn't participate in the overthrow of anything. Mm-hmm. Now the Palestinians probably is the kids of the Jordanians and the Arabs, who they tied to, correct? Mm-hmm. And so what came out of that title and deal? What came out of the agreement that England gave to him in the overthrow of the Ottoman Empire? The Arabs got Iran and Saudi Arabia. You can look at their systems. They identify with the system that was created in England. Monarchy, rule, kings. So they got that for their participation in overthrowing all the blacks. The Belfort Agreement was given to the Jewish people in Israel. You know what I'm saying? For their participation.
Okay.
The Russians got all that USSR, which in 1942 they went against it and took it and divided it up and created all these things and put the United States in charge as NATO. But they took and murdered all those Russians. That was all. If you look at the old map, all that stuff say USSR.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so they was fighting the Ottomans. So a lot of them took property from the original people and inhabitants, and they handed it out, and they gave everybody two things the Queen gave them: nationalism and religion. That's why she sits on the House of Religion.
Wow.
So I'm an Arab. I'm an Arab. See, we was always tribal. You know, our. And so she had given them all nationality and religion. In the Vatican, you have one portion that's controlled by the Vatican, controlled by all the ancient vaults. They got ancient vaults that holds all this stuff. That's why when Russia released their ancient vault with all the pictures and all the descriptions of all these, they was all over the Ottoman Empire, the Moors, the all these people. Because you got to understand the migration. You got to understand what they did and how they was able to. Now you go everywhere around the country, you don't see black folks.
Yeah.
It's made us subservient unto those who destroyed our ancestors.
Yep.
And
destroyed
so
our history.
Yeah, destroyed our history. And they told the truth, but it's called stretching the truth. You ever heard that term before, huh?
Yeah.
It's still a lie. But it got truth in it, but it's stretched. Yeah. If I changed the image of that picture, I stretched it.
Yeah.
So they had all their poets and artists white the faces of all the real black holy people.
Yeah.
And Russia, knowing they trying to get him to destroy his vault.
Yeah.
That's the whole war against Russia. Russia is a very religious country.
Yeah.
And the history of the Russians, people thinking the Russians have always been pro-black against those who are racist out there who want to suppress.
Well, I look at Russia as I feel like they could have. Putin he's been a president for 20 years, right?
Yes.
And I feel like he could have been released that information, and I felt like he never released it because he was a part of the system that was benefiting.
He did benefit.
But I think he released it because he knew that would cripple America and their associates. So he wanted to be the one to tell American white folks.
Not America. See, America America was controlled by England. When England defeated Spain, you know, England had control over here. That's how our last name went from Sanchez to Smith.
Okay.
It was the war between Spain and England. Henry VIII versus Queen Elizabeth, one of them. And she named it Mexico. It was called Hispaniola first because Juan Cabrillo say he discovered the southern portion, which was Alta California. Okay. Then the Sir Drake Francis, who sailed on the Golden Pelican in 1547, said he discovered the northern part, the Antarcticus and the northern part. That's why you go over there, they have the Drake Canal up north.
Okay.
He sailed on the Golden Pelican. They was all sponsored. They was all going on circumnavigations because when the Great Ice Age era had disappeared, it was 10,000 years because of the water when people couldn't get over here. So we was bottlenecked over here before the migrations, according to Indian records. And when you go look at all this, you go study the Indian records because the Indians got that history because the migration started out of Arabia. And they went through the Indian Strait, then they went to the Alaskan trails. This is during the Ice Age. Okay. To Central America, the Archipelagians, Japan, and these are the migration routes. Black folks, though, the naked ones. I ain't talking about the ones who had the clothes on, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. The naked.
The naked ones. The same ones that's out there in that Indian Ocean still ain't had contact, who've been there for 50,000 years. To tell you a story of how all their people was poisoned and killed in Australia. And this is all the Roman, the Vatican. So they all came with what? Religion.
Wow.
So they came, posted they was practicing religion, and they looking for Jesus, but they was really trying to see was the West Indies tied to the East India from the tectonic plate shift and the great floods in the Ice Age. So this was what their real navigation was about. America Vespucius, who America is named after. You know what I'm saying? So when you start studying all these navigators and these, you're reading their manifest destinies and all the people who sponsored them, the money that was behind them, and you know, it gives you a clear picture of who was who. You know what I'm saying? And it gives you a clear picture, you know, on who was against who. You know, like I say, all of them participated in the overthrow because they believed in the Dark Ages, two nations can't rule at one time. Black nation, white nation. One has to be subservient to the other.
Wow.
We became the ones who was giving them civilization in the Moors and the Spain, the liberation, and teaching them how to cure themselves from malaria because they was getting killed by just malaria. You know what I'm saying? And then they rose up against us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And murdered us. You know what I'm saying?
Because, I mean, I was having a conversation with somebody else. America has always been known to we were just too nice. Like, we didn't have guns. We wasn't, like, killers.
It was all tribal. My family is Black Sioux. My family is Black Sioux out of the Mississippi Bank, on the Mississippi Bank of Mississippi. We was Black Sioux.
Okay.
Because we was tribal. Because when we was bottlenecked over here, people don't understand that we had a culture. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why we have to reconstruct it because we was able to survive and not die off. Just imagine you got family members over here and there's, how do you reproduce? And I say this is why we became cultural and not national. We was cultural and tribal because we was reproducing. So by the time Juan Cabrillo came over here, it probably was only 10,000, but we grew when he came 200,000.
Okay.
How can all these people grow this fast and they all same bloodline? See, we created tribes and separations so that we could know how to do that. That's where we all had different dialects. We didn't speak a different language. We all spoke different language, different tribes, different cultures, different customs. And that's why gangs are so natural to us. Okay. Because it's always been like that in order for us to have healthy kids. Because you can't have babies with your first cousin, second, or third. Yeah. You can't have babies with your brother and sister. Yeah. Because those babies would affect their chromosomes and their genetics. They will be born crippled.
Yeah.
And so we had to set up a system. Whereas you gotta go marry over there. I don't want to marry him. Well, you can't marry him. That's your first cousin.
Yeah.
And so we had a system set up when they came, and it was cultural. Yeah. And we all spoke different dialects, different tongues, different customs, and all, so that we can know how to mix and have kids. Yeah. Even in so-called colonization, the old people still picked who you marry because you didn't know all those people was your cousins, your first cousins on your mama's side or your daddy's side.
Wow.
And so autism is exploding today because they have broken down our system and they told us we was all Americans, all Spaniards, and they made us all speak the same language. So now you don't know who your bloodline is. Now you're just having babies and you don't know that baby is special. Well, you didn't check your research and see that was that your first cousin on your grandmama's side, on your daddy's side. It don't change. The blood is the same, it's pure.
Yeah.
So O blood has to be O and negative. You have to mix them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when they tore up our system and saying that what we was doing was voodoo, because it was a religious war when they came. They forced us into Catholicism. It made us take our clothes back. They made us put clothes on. See, we melatonin. That means that we got to stand in the sun 15 minutes longer to get vitamin D from the chief source that metabolize all our minerals in our bodies, in our organs. So the first thing they do, they made us put on clothes. Now we can't get vitamin D.
Wow.
Trying to cook without the fire. Trying to cook a chicken without the fire up under it. That's what the equivalent is of vitamin D to us as a race of people. We have to get 15 minutes of sun to metabolize our system.
Wow.
They broke that down, made us put on clothes. See, these people thinking these were scientists, doctors. When they go and steal those people off them islands, like they get one, the North Sentinels, they kidnap one of him. They gonna go run Texas, his blood type and all. And we was dying just coming in contact with them because they had smallpox. They had diseases. So if you go to Africa right now, they'll tell you take a lot of shots.
Yeah.
And the same thing when they came over here, they was coming sick and they was stinking. And they was getting our people sick. If you go study the history of the death of all those people, they didn't get killed because of slavery. They died from smallpox. 20,000. They weren't even after the Revolutionary War. England injected smallpox to all the blacks who was fighting for her, and they went and integrated with the ones that was fighting on the Americans, the Patriot side. And if you go look at it, the history of that, more of our men, black men who fought during the War of Independence, died from smallpox. So that's why in that island off the coast of the Indias, see, we was considered West Indies. We was a part of the Western migration. We didn't come on ships. They came on ships.
Yeah.
And they brought diseases, poison food, and they found out what weaponry was using, and they came with gunpowder and guns.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they knew how many men it was. They knew our ritual. They sat back and faked like they was practicing religion, and they was writing in diaries. And they took it back to the Queen of England and the King of Spain and Henry VIII, and they all got together and they financed these crusades, and they came and they colonized us.
Colonized. That's why I try to tell people slavery was real, but we were more enslaved.
Slavery is just a word.
It's a raid. But what I'm saying, 100,000 people from Africa came to America.
No, they didn't.
Well, the record show. The record show.
The only one came was the Spaniards, the English, the French, and the Portuguese. The Spaniards came through the south, the English came from the north, the French came from this way, and they came here. Yeah. And they came in with the thing that they was practicing religion. That's why civil rights and religious rights are the highest rights in this country. And if you ain't got second chance, we gave y'all a chance. That's why the Dred Scott decision was so pivotal that went against what they were saying that he wasn't a citizen. They told him, nigga, he been here longer than you.
Yeah.
It was two migrations that they came in. During the gold rush era in the 1800s when they discovered gold, millions came from Europe to here. Yeah. Chasing gold. That's what Trump daddy came on the ship. Yeah. Great-grandfather. And so the ones that migrated here, the people that came here on their navigations, see, they were studying and then they discovered all these other mineral rights, like Jamaica. People say Jamaica. No, Jamaica is named by the queen. That means wood. They was extracting wood out of there, taking it back to Europe. They were extracting all the food from here, taking it back to Europe. That's what the slave trade was all about.
Yeah.
But it was colonization was the system.
Yeah.
See, they talk about the term on work. You know, slavery is nothing but job today. They just changed the term.
Yeah. That's
you know
all
what I'm saying?
it is.
That's all it is. We was doing this way before they even came over here. They didn't bring us over here. We was already gatherers and hunters.
We was already here.
Yeah, we was Spaniards in Spain. They came over here. They the one did all the architectural renderings. All these buildings off the Spain, off the Moors.
Which connects to the more. So
Yeah.
now, I mean, I also been learning, and people been doing some research, is that we've been led to believe that our last names are European and came from white folks, like Robinson and Jackson. That these are white names, but no, they're actually our names. These are our names. Like Jackson was Jack's son.
Yeah, oh
You know what I'm saying? It was
That's how it was.
that's how it was. And what happened was they said because this was our land, we built this land. When the switch came, where these Europeans were coming from, they would take our name and then steal our land. So you think that this is a Jackson plantation that was owned by some white man named Mr. Jackson, but really Mr. Jackson took it from a black Jackson and then took his name, actually changed, the white man would change his name to something Jackson, and now he didn't inherited the story, the land, and inheritance of all of that Jackson property, which was originally what you would be called a quote unquote black man.
Yeah. Well, we owned everything before they even came here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Before their systems was even set up, they was doing navigation. When you look at their circumnavigations and you look at the navigators, the people who were selling, the Juan Cabrillos, the Christopher Columbus, the Sir Drake Francis, the American Vespuccians, when you start studying what they was doing and what they was and who was financing them, it'll give you a clear picture. When they came, we was already here. That means it was already our land.
Yeah.
We was cultural. We was hunting and we was gathering. We was doing farm work. We was hunting. We knew birds. We knew everything. We knew how to care. I said we knew how to heal. We had know how to create a cycle of people. And so when they came, they was amazed what they saw. We had plenty of food. They only had so much food on that boat out in the ocean.
Yeah.
And they was coming with diseases.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just like right now, they got a stay away order from their last uncontacted tribe in the Indian Ocean. When you go find out why they have a stay away order and they're able to kill you and nobody do nothing, they're just gonna tell you about the story of you. That's our ancestors. Them the only ones they ain't been had a contact who been told the Jesus story. They don't want your food because they know that's what you came and you killed all of us and all of the straits. See, we got on clothes right now. They still the way God made them.
Butt naked.
That's the original man.
Wow.
That's our true ancestor. They've been there in that island for 50,000 years. Them people on that island right there represent the third migration that migrated out of Arabia. See, it was called Arabia. It wasn't called Africa. Africa was after the Punic War I and the Punic War II. After Rome defeated the Carthaginians and defeated Hannibal. The one who did it, he was a general named Scipio Africanos. That's why it's named Africa.
Yeah.
And so people gotta understand real history. All this was one continent until the tectonic plate shift, the ice age, the great flood. See, people don't think that happened.
Yeah.
It happened, but it wasn't the white folks who telling the narrative, the story. You was the uncivilized person that got civilized because you didn't know how to take baths. You was a reflection of the sun, so you had to hide in the holes.
Yeah.
You didn't know how to go hunt. You was taught all that. And that's our brother because he was grafted. He was taken from the original gene from one of us. And he was just mixed to make him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And people think, well, they can have right now they having test tube babies. You mean to tell me you think that technology is just now coming out and they the only one that discovered it? They discovered shit. They don't never say, I created it. No, you discovered it because it was already created. You just got it and used it and took it and re-put it out.
Yeah.
And you control the patent because you a greedy, you know what I'm saying, person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They materialized everything. You know, John Sutter, who came over here in the 1800s after he done robbed his wife blonde in Switzerland, came over here, went to Mexico, got a land grant, you know what I'm saying, from the Queen to come practice religion over here. He get a sauce stutter mill. They give him land out here in Santa Clarita to go practice his religion because he was a crime. Instead of going to jail, he got over here. He came over here, and the people and all the blacks that was there, they bring him a piece of gold. He find out the value in it. The gold rush comes. John Sutter.
Wow.
Go study the history and the migration of John Sutter. So this is the gold rush. The gold rush started out here. It started up north of Sonoma. Sonoma. It started right here on the 14th freeway, Placeria and all that stuff. That's called the Golden Valley. But the water shifted in 1849 when there was an 8.0 earthquake. It shifted the water. Then DWP created that man-made water thing right there off the 5.
Yeah.
See, when you start studying the histories of who Sepulveda is, who Mulholland was, who was Saint Bonaventure, who was Saint Yanez.
Yeah.
When you talk about the Pacific Palisades, see, when you start doing the etymology behind those names, you're going to understand your real history as a black person in America.
Sepulveda was black?
No, Sepulveda was another one of those
Latino.
colonizers.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you know, Italian. See, Latino is a made-up word. See, this is ruled by Spain. Not no them people they talking about, this is Mexico, I'm a mess, nigga, shut up. I read the etymology of Mexico, the Queen named that. That don't mean no person. And you ain't the original person of that land because the Spaniards came and killed all the originals and ran them up the hills.
But the Spaniards were black too, weren't they?
We had black Spaniards. And
I mean, there were
you had
Moors.
Europeans.
Yeah.
But they was tribal, so that's a nation. So it's a difference between a tribe and a nation. We was all tribal. Sioux tribe. We didn't use nationalism. We used tribes. See, we come from a ancestral cultural base that deal with tribal. The Queen came in and put national in false religion to justify your nationalism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's the system she created. That's not our system. We was always tribal. So when you go back to us, the Anukis and the Iraqis in New York, all those black tribals, see, we was always tribal because we had to set that up in order for us to bottleneck and regrow our population. We created a tribal system.
The Seneca tribe,
That's it.
New York.
So you don't say Africa. You call, they ain't looking at this nigga. Them people killed our people and it burnt all of our houses down. So you calling me Africa, nigga? You must don't know who you are. Nigga, I'm a Congo, nigga.
Yeah.
Nigga, I'm Tanzania.
Yeah.
You know, I'm Praetorian. I'm not no South African. That's the white motherfucker. That's Elon Musk. That's the only African American we got. He was born in Africa, naturalized in America. African American. Nigga, you're not an African American, nigga. You ain't African. You ain't come from no nationalism. You're a tribal. What tribe are you from, sir?
You're copper skin.
Yeah.
Because the Africans is really the black. Like, they got a black undertone underneath
Well, they have
where we
let's say
got
this.
red.
We come from two parents, Adam and Eve. We all got O positive or O negative. Through smallpox, it was able to manipulate the genetics, the blood. That's how you get Rh negative. That was all through the smallpox, era of experiment.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so when you start studying all this stuff, you know what I'm saying, you be like, hey, what people being educated on, you've been given miseducation, misinformation, and you didn't research it. You know what I'm saying? So you are running around here propping up falsehoods and thinking you're telling the truth, but it's not the truth. When you get to the truth gonna set you free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sets you free amongst all the niggas that's trapped in ignorance. And you operating now, you gotta, things that when you're a person that's truthful, that the research it's hard to integrate with a person who ain't did no research. Cause they be talking and you be like, damn, this motherfucker, you don't even know who he is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how it is in society. And they know that. That's why they be laughing at us. We want reparation. And they looking at us like, what's a bunch of fools? Who do they think they are? I'm an Israelite. I'm a black man. I'm a such and such.
We everything but American.
They looking at these, okay, as you are.
Get your black ass over here, black man. Go get your Israeli ass over
And
there. You know what I'm
niggas
saying?
love to be black,
Yeah,
love
man,
to be
just-
Afrocentric.
They
you
don't know nothing, bro.
And
all
then
they
white
have-
folks is taking paying $5 becoming us,
Yes, all day, every day.
and
You know
got
what I'm saying?
all our
They
inheritance.
told you came on the ship. They came on the ship. They told you came on the ship.
And all we ever got is pictures of white folks in abundance
Yeah.
on the ship. You ain't
Yeah.
got one picture. All you got is drawings of,
Yes.
of black
Yes.
slaves or black people
Yes.
full
Yes.
on the boat. You
Yes.
ain't got one picture.
Yes. But
Not
tell
one.
them, look at the images now. But sometimes in America, because America is 250 years old, this is a baby country compared to the empires and the monarchies and the
Yeah.
systems. We're very young.
Very young.
Very young. You know what I'm saying? And so when you're looking for your truth in America history, you're not going to find it.
No.
You're not going to find it. You're going to find everything that they manufactured and social engineered in the last 250 years that don't even touch on who you are.
Dude, it's the biggest lie I think said to the world to keep us.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling people, look, if you want to know who you are, you go to Spain museums and history. You go to Britain and stuff because France, see, they got the real stories.
Yeah.
They
Who
was
the
here,
older?
yeah, they was here in the 1500s, and they the one who done everything they done. We just, as America, came up and defeated every last one of them.
And I think
you could prove about the wars. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And I think people will be amazed when you go, like you said, go to France, go to Germany, and go look in these old museums and go look at art from the 1500s, 1600s, and look at the art that says this is of Americans. And the pictures of Americans that you get is what you see of us.
Yeah. But the real pictures you'll never see, you know why? And you learned this just studying these people's conflicts as they fight one another over the titles and the rights to certain mineral rights beneath the surface of these places they fighting over. Ancient vaults.
Huh?
Ancient vaults. Vaults.
Vaults, okay.
See, the Vatican has an ancient vault. You know what I'm saying? That they have not opened. You know what I'm saying? So when they open those ancient vaults is where all the real information at. That they didn't took and they didn't generic, socially engineered it, put a white face on it, and sent it out there. The ancient ones is the black people.
Yeah.
That's what Putin did, because he know they trying to, you see how they attacking Russia. They pushing Russia all the way in the corner.
Yeah.
They want to destroy Russia, not because of Russia. They
So
want to get that vault.
Well, but that's why I feel that's why Putin put it out there.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm saying that's some bullshit because you're gonna wait till you get pushed in the corner.
Wait. He put it out. Yeah, he had to. He had
You know
to.
what I'm saying?
He have to. You know, you bargain is a form of bargaining because and you say, why did he do that? See, that's just coincidence. People, that's a coincidence.
But he's trying to make it seem like he really cared, but he's using it as a tactic.
He
Because
got
if he
a-
cared, he
got
would
a letter.
have put it out 20
He gets
years
a
ago.
letter from the Vatican telling him to give those paintings over.
Okay.
I'm not giving them. So he the only one got the truth. He the only one ain't being bossed.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is being bossed.
Yeah. But he ain't being.
He got the Vatican. This nigga got, the Vatican got 44 different religions, 44,000 different religions.
Yeah.
And in your country, it's probably 13 of them, 6.
Wow.
And they like the Antifa niggas that shooting Charlie Kirk. Bow! They like the nigga at at the ICE facility. Bow, bow! They like the nigga from Vegas that went all the way up there and shot the nigga at Black Rock. Bow!
These are all connected. Gotta be. It's all bullshit.
Look, we in a world where people don't understand, society, the people in society, who these people are, what they tied to, who they connected to. We just look at it from the lens of what the television teaches us. That's owned by them people, by the way. I'm gonna put this out there. Put Denzel face on it this time. We need to get these niggas over here to buy a car. You know what I'm saying? Denzel in a car. Nigga, I want that car, man. Denzel had it. Michael Jordan. I want them Jordans. So these people, you know what I'm saying? You know, we ain't gonna call them people. You know what I'm saying? Them organizing group in our society moves that you don't see. You know what I'm saying? That moves everything that you do see. So you just gotta be sure, you know what I'm saying, like you say for us, is that, you know, we standing on sometimes with an ally or we standing not in the middle. Because if you're in the middle, you know what that means, you're the prize. They fighting over to get and control you. Everybody want the black what? Market. Everybody want BET. Why do you want BET? How you want BET? They don't want BET for all that old ass programming they got. They want BET because BET got the marketing power for black folks.
Yeah.
Ad and advertisement is worth $4 billion of ad and advertising. They use BET to sell us shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you to buy it, I gotta make a profit. You know what I'm saying? And if I buy my shit is $2 billion, I'm not gonna sell it to you for $2 billion. That's what is generating. That's the valuation. But when I sell it, I got to put 10% on that, 20%.
Or 10
on profit,
times.
10 times the profit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
What the
yeah.
value is, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm negotiating to you right. You trying to just, I might as well just give it to you. You know what I'm saying? And so you have people that operate on business and some people who don't know business, you know, and they clashing. But you know, it's people who trying to use those people who don't know business to be going talking to people who know business, and you're insulting them. You telling me to give you my shit for $2 million? Who told you come here and do that? You know, we don't give a fuck about none of that. You know what I'm saying? You did. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, it's a lot of it's like there's a lot of stuff that's going on. You know, and for me, you know, I because of myself, and my kids, and my family, and being a black person, a black man, you know, and being a leader, because I'm a leader. You know, via civil rights, human rights, you know, father rights, black man rights. I stand on that square. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to be validated, no, because I have my own history. You know what I'm saying? And everybody ain't going in the right direction. We all need to find the right cause that we're going in. And it don't matter which direction you're coming from, as long as our cause is going in the right direction. And so we have to turn our cause around, because our cause right now is leading us to death and destruction, as you see, gang violence and drugs and the whole industry. You know what I'm saying? It's all fun and games, it look lucrative, but when you know, sit back and you look at it, it's really destroying us as a people.
Yeah, it is.
You know, and you know what I'm saying? And if anything is not building you and contributing to your nation and contributing to your legacy, you know, like I say, you know, we got 50 million blacks, you know, in America, 25 million black women. You know, where are we going with this? Are we declining? It's a lot of things, you know. So these are the things that black men and black fathers and civil rights black people have to get together and have a real discussion around. But we're working though. We're working on things to make sure that, you know, regardless we have a discussion or not, we have a plan to go in a different direction, you know.
Well, man, I think we had a great discussion today. Is there any things you want to let the people know? Any message you want to tell the people?
Just stay tuned, man. You know, we got a lot of things coming, man. A lot of great things. And like I always say, you know, I don't televise them. I don't talk about them, because, you know, the only does that because when we do it in front of this lens, sometimes you got people that's out there that's looking and learning and listening, and they trying to sit up behind you and derail you in different directions. So, no, just stay tuned, man. And I mean, one thing with all of our listening audience, especially black men and black fathers and those who in gangs and in prisons, man, you know, start learning who you are as a person. You know, finding out who you are, you know, and finding out, you know, what's your purpose. Because a person without a purpose is a person just living. And if you're just living without a purpose, then that means that any one of these vices and things that you control by your sexual and your hunger can lead you in a different direction that can lead to your demise. So just be smart, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, you know, and just, you know, stay tuned, man. Stay tuned. Wild Moguls.
Thank you very much, Daude Sherrills, once again.